how do you come home after 20 years and start setting up things like health insurance, life insurance, and catching up for superannuation? I have been a non-resident for tax purposes while overseas, also a non-resident visa, US. I've had health and life insurance through my job. So how can I prove that to get the best option for the family, ages 49, 45, 9 and 5? Also bonus question, how do we set up our US citizen kids in Australia without falling foul of US tax laws? Holy moly, it's complex. Yes, it is. How do we repatriate and press reset?
Essentially, US-based expats are a subject unto themselves. And if you consider, let's talk about anyone else apart from the US-based expats, the process is pretty simple. It's not like when you move overseas and you have to get into the system, if that makes sense. You're already in the system. You just left it, you put it on pause, and you're coming back into it. So you will have to spend a stupid amount of time at Centrelink and those sort of places to get your Medicare card going again. Probably one of the most important things that a lot of people miss is when you come back to Australia, and like by the sounds of it, being overseas for a while, unknowingly expats get hit with the lifetime health cover loading premiums, because obviously there's that penalty after age 30. If you get a what's called a passenger movement record from the Department of Immigration or Home Affairs, you can show that you've been overseas. And as long as you provide that to the private health insurer no more than 12 months after returning to Australia, they won't apply the LHC on your premiums.
But the but is the US part of that, right?
So the US bit is, the US is one of the only two countries in the world, Eritrea being the other one, that does citizenship-based taxation, which means you can leave the US and permanently live in Australia. But if you are a US citizen or a US green card holder, you still have obligations to report back to the IRS in the United States. So what we find is folks try and hold on to the green card thinking it's cool because it gives them optionality to go back. Now that you've got H3 visas and those things, it's ridiculous to hold on to a green card visa. Green card, because all it means is you're paying Uncle Sam tax. Fun fact for the folks out there, the residency-based taxation system started in the United States was to stop absconders during the Civil War in the US back in the 1800s. And they've kept the same rule ever since. So that's why Australia applies a residency-based. Where do you live? If you live in Australia and you earn Australian-sourced income, you pay tax on that. If you live in Dubai like I do, I don't pay tax to the Australian tax office because I don't reside in that country.
Yeah, gosh. So what do we do with US citizen kids when they come into Australia?
That's going to be a big one. And we've seen a massive escalation in the people renouncing their US citizenship because of that adhesive residency-based system that they apply. So, there's actually whole Facebook groups set up now to get rid of your US citizenship, because people don't realise that. And it used to be always a thing that people used to fly to the US and give birth while they're in the US to get their kids a US passport. Now it's a liability with the way the taxation system there is driven.
So just on that, the coming back to Australia from the US, you're going to have to likely pay the loading for the.
If you've been out of the country,
Yes.
for a certain period, like if you're over the age of 30, so you get that penalty loading. So you need to have that passenger movement record. The other key things is if you've been in the United States for greater than 8 years, we have what's called the Hart Tax Act, which is an exit tax coming out of the US, where if you meet certain thresholds, they will tax you on your worldwide assets to take you out of there. And last of all, if you hold 401ks, Roth IRAs and backdoor IRAs and those sort of things, what catches a lot of folks out is they go, oh, you know what, I won't redeem it while I'm in the US. I'll go back to Australia and pull it back later, relying on the double taxation agreement to get them through that period. However, what people don't realise is the Australian marginal tax rates are a lot higher, and certainly as we've seen in the last period of time, they're showing no signs of going down anytime soon. What it means is you draw out your 401k from the US, Uncle Sam will hit you with 30%, which is their marginal tax rate for 401ks. But then what will happen is when you receive the money here, that money gets added on top of your income, which will probably push you into the 47s. So now you're paying the ATO 17% on top of the 30% you've already paid to the IRS. So yes, there's a double taxation in place to stop double taxing. Doesn't mean they won't tax you more if you fall into that bracket. So yeah, the US one's a particular one.
Yeah, and it just speaks to, getting the right advice, and you just may have to let the cards fall where they may, particularly on this catch-up superannuation. Well, number one, you probably have 401k, potentially you will have some retirement savings.
Yep.
I think the question, do you ask people, Brett, well, are you coming back for good or for five? Like, where is home?
Yeah.
Because that's going to change whether you exit completely
100%.
Yeah.
We always talk about what's the end game, where's the final port of call, because that will always dictate the strategy. You reverse engineer it backwards. And by doing it that way, what it means is you are not falling into any unnecessary traps. She'll be right is not an investment strategy, even though Australians love to employ that. You know that as well as I do. Oh yeah, mate. We talk about taking the Cuba off when you leave the country. You need to take that. You need to think like a local with the country you're going to. If you are coming from the US for permanent, you might want to redeem. You might want to time your exit so that you're redeeming your 401k in a new tax year in the United States when you have zero income, keeps the thresholds nice and low. You get that metaphorical briefcase full of cash before you come back to Australia, and you come into the country and you can bring, you can transfer money into the country tax-free. So,
and just remember, their financial year is calendar year up there.
Correct.
What's UK? Are most calendar years
they're
almost?
5th of April. They've got a really weird one. So it's from the 5th of April to the 4th of April. So they've got their own particular one as well too.
Hey, it's Glenn here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.